It's finally playoff time in Pittsburgh for the 16th consecutive season, and this year we get the New York Rangers in the first round, the fifth time in the Crosby-Malkin era. The last time these two teams played was all the way back in 2016 in the first round, a very special time for Penguins fans. It was the first series we won that led to the back-to-back cups. We don't know how many years this team has left. This can actually be the last playoff run we get with this core. Both Malkin and Letang are UFAs in the summer, and even Crosby was asked about it entering the playoffs. And obviously his answer is your typical Crosby answer, it's the safe answer. He goes, right, nothing's gonna last forever, obviously, but I don't know, something about how he was saying it, just the vibes I got from that answer, it just looked like, it doesn't really mean anything. They could all come back next year, but there's a good chance one of them doesn't. So if there's something that's going to motivate this team to do something this year, it has to be the idea of this could be the last time, right? The last dance. And I won't be giving a prediction in this video. I hate predictions, especially when it's your own team, because if I pick the Penguins, I'm biased. If I pick the Rangers, I'm a bad fan. So there's really no winning there. Let's talk about the series. And what do the Penguins have to do to potentially win a 7-game series against these tough Rangers? Now let's get to what we know. Tristan Jarry isn't playing the first 2 games. Mike Sullivan announced that. Same goes for Jason Zucker. The whole Jarry DeSmith starting thing, I don't think affects us that much. If the Penguins lose this series, I don't think it's DeSmith's fault. I think it's going to be the guys in front of him's fault. So if the guys in front of him play, I don't think DeSmith is going to fumble it on his own. I think he'll be decent enough to win if these guys are playing good in front of him. And as for Jason Zucker, the guy's been in and out of the lineup all year. I think he spent more time out of the lineup than in the lineup. So I don't really look at it as that big of a loss. They know how to play without him. Will Tristan Jarry or Jason Zucker return sometime this series? Mike Sullivan didn't rule it out. He said they're both day-to-day. I feel like Tristan Jarry is out until at least the second round. They were saying he has a broken bone in his foot. I don't think anything official came out about that, but if that's the case, there's no way he's going to play in this series. Again, just my opinion, so maybe he does return in a potential game 5 or 6. But you got to keep this in mind. If there is a game 5 or a game 6, the series is going to be close. Do you really want to take out DeSmith and put in a cold Tristan Jarry who might still be a little bit injured? That's a big question mark. Now, if you have a goaltending problem and you're just surviving, DeSmith is allowing 3-4 goals a game on 20 shots, let's say, then yes, an injured Jarry is preferred. But if DeSmith is playing fine, do you really want to take him out? Now, let's just get this out of the way. Let's address the biggest thing, the biggest problem for the Penguins, and that's going to be Igor Shesterkin, the Rangers goalie. In my opinion, he's the most important player in this entire series for both teams. He is going to decide whether the Rangers win in 5 or the Penguins somehow win. But the most important thing, they need to get to Shesterkin. They got to get a few past him in that first game. If they let him get in his rhythm, by game 1, man, it's going to be so tough. And scoring goals on good goalies is not impossible, especially when you got Crosby, Malkin, Gensel on your team. It just all depends on what they do to try and score on this good goalie that Shesterkin is. Are you going to just let him see all the shots? If that's the case, he's stopping everything. Maybe you'll get one if you're lucky, but you got to get in front of him. You got to rattle him a bit. Take away his eyes. You hear everyone say that. All the coaches say that. Get in front of that net. Make him work. Make him have to look over his defenders. Take those point shots. You'll get the rebound, you'll get the redirects, and goals like that beat goalies like him. You're not going to beat him with a clean shot from the circle if he can see it. That's an easy save for a guy like Shesterkin. Honestly, it's an easy save for most NHL goalies. As a goalie myself, obviously not as good as Shesterkin or playing in the NHL, but the sport's the same. Let me tell you how difficult those point shots are. And if any goalies are watching, you can agree. When there's action in front and there's a point shot coming, you're praying it just hits you because you maybe can't see it. And most of the time he'll manage to stop it, but 1 or 2 will either get by him or will create rebounds, good scoring chances that you can hopefully tap in. I swear, man, Igor Shesterkin is a great goalie, but you can beat him. You can beat great goalies, right? And the Penguins have the offense to do so. I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but if the Penguins find a way to beat Shesterkin, they have a really good chance of pulling the upset because they are the underdogs heading into this. Other than that, I think 5v5, the Penguins match up pretty nicely with the Rangers. And I could care less about the season series. This is a brand new season, playoff hockey. I feel like, and I hope, the Penguins can use their experience to their advantage. Again, it is a bit overrated. It doesn't matter if you have experience or not, but in certain situations it does. And you look at their blue line, it is a bit younger. Essentially half their blue line is playing in their first playoff series here. and guys like Crosby Malkin who are playing in their 16th playoff season. I don't know how, but they could definitely use that to their advantage, and it would definitely benefit them. And finally, I'm looking at Crosby and the first line. What kind of performance in this playoffs are we going to get from these guys? Because Crosby has a history of dominating the Rangers, but that Gensel, Crosby, Rust line has been a bit quiet these last couple playoff runs that they've lost in the first round. If we're going to get a first line that has them getting points each game, there's a good chance they're going to win some of those games. And then what are we going to get from Gino's line? Rickard Rakell, that's a great addition. Could help a lot in this playoff run. Which kind of bottom six are we going to get? Can they pitch in for a goal or two? Or are we going to get the Kapanen that's invisible? The Carter that looks his age? Because they have the pieces there. It's just all about if they perform or not. And then you have the back end. To me, the guy you're looking at is Chris Letang and that top pair. So many times this year, Letang and Dumoulin were not good. Especially Brian Dumoulin. Which kind of Brian Dumoulin are we getting here? The liability or that shutdown defender we got in the back-to-back runs? That's going to be huge. Which Chris Letang are we getting? If that pair is going, it'll all fall into place. It doesn't matter what the bottom four does. If those two guys, the top pair who are going to probably be playing 25 minutes a night, if they're on, I'm going to feel good as a Penguins fan. If we're going to get the bad versions of Chris Letang and Brian Dumoulin, this series can end real quick. And hey, playoff hockey is amazing because you don't know what's going to happen. Expect the unexpected. And I'm just so excited to see what the Penguins can do. Hopefully they can find enough fire deep down in there, maybe just using the idea of it being the last dance and just come together, play as a team, and, maybe that could be enough to overcome this and beat the Rangers and upset and prove a lot of people wrong. Or maybe not, and they get the same result they did the last 4 years, and, it leads to a very interesting offseason. It all starts in one day, and I'm extremely hyped, but I obviously love to hear what you guys have to say. Who's going to win this series? And obviously come back after every game because like last year, I'm going to be making videos after every single playoff game. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I'll catch you guys after, I hope, a huge Game 1 victory.